Hi my dear friends, and today my guest is Sainkho Namtchulak. She is a famous musician. She now lives in Austria, Vienna, but she originally from Tuva Republic. And we will talk a little bit about the music because she played two concerts here in Netherlands, one in Den Haag and one in our tea house in Amsterdam. Yeah, hi.
Hello.
Hi Sainkho. Please maybe tell what's your main passion about music, because you have so incredible voice and you make absolutely impossible performances, I can say, and maybe you can say a few words. What's your main passion?
The first impulse of me being a singer is probably curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Curiosity to understand how the sound is inside me is developing. Soft sound or strong sound, high sound or low sound, how it is developing through my voice. Second is how the idea itself, the first impulse of idea, is going through the process and coming out in a form of melody or in a form of soundscape. And the third most important is I feel through recognition of potential creativity and the process of working on a composition, I am realizing a main aim that was actually realized or recognized in me is a link between very old, ancient, very ancient art of singing from very old prehistoric time of shamanistic or Buddhistic prayers into the daily life, into music of today, into the music of improvisation or contemporary music. And of course, through this process, I have feeling my life is becoming a new meanings each day, because each day this combination or between changing the energy, then thought, and then the sound. So to recognize the sound as a part of daily life is a very interesting process. I think that's the first impulse. And after is, of course, becoming more familiar to the listeners, becoming, let's say, welcomed singer in this city, in that country, in this club, in that stay on this stage. That's a part of reality. But main and first impulse is to go through this high and low tone, soft and strong tone through your voice, and this is own journey of everyday feeling or tasting life.
So you're actually talking about kind of reflecting the reality, reflecting your lifestyle through the art, through music, or not only?
No, maybe it is more about recognition of sound as a living energy somewhere else, but I'm touching it. And through this energy, I am realizing my own existence in this reality.
So it's other way around.
Yes,
so
another
not
way
from
around.
earth to sky, but
Yes.
from sky to earth.
Yes, yes.
So it's
yes.
like a kind of channeling, maybe in some point.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Like a shamanic experience.
Yes, yes.
When you feel it. Because I've seen some records, and also I've seen 3 already of your concerts. One we had in Vienna and 2 we had here in Netherlands. And I see like you all the time do it completely different, sometimes very strong impressions, sometimes very tender and soft, and you like kind of playing with this feeling of music and also feeling of the atmosphere around you, because it's very impressive also. What you can say about you have a touch of audience? How do you feel it, or because it's also interesting?
First of all, it's lifelong sound meditation, because it's always inside me, and it's like being, let's say, inside of your own river of sound, and it's going day and night. When you meet with audience and you know that in this moment now you start to share it, what is inside you with the audience, and it's going through your voice. This is a process that's realizing your own destiny in that moment again and again. And I might have 1,000,000 of these performances, concerts, music meetings, master classes, etc. But each time I have a feeling like it's a first.
Wow.
Or last one, you know. You have this feeling like it's your first and last, and the only meeting you have now, you know. This feeling.
Just present moment.
Yeah,
like
the present moment,
present.
here and now. It's and this will never be again.
I see.
Yeah, of course, the next time will be something different. You know, a little bit different.
You're kind of tuning the space, because I see how you do prepare to the concert. You kind of walking around and feeling. How do you don't prepare? You just improvise mostly, or you prepare something.
First taking inside, and then I'm reflecting what is outside. It is always different. Some places are very, very difficult. Depend on not only people, but it very much depend on the space itself. And I have to say, your tea house is just a very good place. It's this finest energy and smell of this fine aroma is welcoming spirits of very high world, and that's why it's so easy to sing. You know, it's I know some places with high tech and perfect, but you start to sing, you feel it doesn't have this warmness. You know, it's not only because of the design that everything what you have, it's wooden and everything is, you know, but it is just really coming from the culture of having very fine taste of drink, which is tea, and also very fine aroma and energy through this, you know. It's
Thank you very much.
It's calling all the time this fine world, you know, of spirits. I really believe in it, because our senses are three-dimensional, and everything what is beyond our three-dimensional senses, human beings used to call God. God, it's something more than our three-dimensional senses. It's energy that has to do with a multi-dimensional space. And I think in that part of this reality, in multi-dimensional space, the spirits are really existing, and they are feeling this fine energy and smell. That's why they are coming. And when they are there, it's very easy to communicate with them through the sound. That's why it's so easy to sing. That's why it was so good also going today too. I was singing previously in other tea houses too.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also good.
Where it was? In which places?
In Moscow,
In Moscow?
tea houses. There is
Great.
tea house, it's called tea house,
Yeah.
English combination, just on Dzerzhinsky metro.
I see. It's like I think
Третий путь,
железный
Третий
third
путь.
third path. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, it's
Path.
called Третий
Okay.
путь or something.
Actually, what I see that tea culture in Western world are still like developing,
Yes.
but in Eastern Europe, like everywhere, it's already even like here in Czech Republic, there are some tea houses, but here it's still not. It's interesting how it's slowly also developing. And back to the music, also we just talk about this connection between you also do performances and you also do some art. You're also artist. How do you connect all these multi art projects all together for your like work on?
In the beginning, it was starting with research about shamanistic culture, and especially shamanism as a form of perspective of nature around. Through the Tuvan shamanism, I was reading some scientific researches of my own people, Tuvan people, scientists. Was writing small books. I was studying and I was starting to understand that in ancient time, all people, creative people, was like a shaman. They were having all these talents in one, being able to create beautiful objects, being able to prepare good and heal with a drink, being able to write some beautiful poetic lines, being able to conduct some music, create some music, create some music instruments, make petroglyphs on the stone, ancient pictures, being able to create clothes or to make drawings, etc. So it's all this was all in one person. So creativity didn't have any
Diversion kind of.
like specification.
Yeah.
It was a kind of ball of energy that had to go through personality and come out in a concrete product like a ceremonial song or like poetic words or like some objects or painting on the stone. Since I discovered this, I started also to notice that from childhood I always had an interest to not only to sing or dance, but I was drawing. And I was teenager. I was drawing face of young men, and later on I recognized when I was 16, 17, I was drawing face that I met 2-3 years after, or 4 years after.
Wow.
He
So
was
you
my
had
first
kind
husband.
of a vision in this
Yeah,
case.
my husband, first husband,
Wow.
Alex.
So it's just
Yeah, I was. Then I have seen even photos, him being 16 years old, and that was exactly the portrait I was drawing.
So just seeing him through all these thousands of kilometers.
Yes, that's strange.
Actually, the shaman was a kind of in that old groups like which called now like a primitive groups,
Yes.
but recognized scientifically by primitive groups. The shaman was a kind of a leader of the community who just bring all his creativity and passion and also knowledge and help the community to sustain also. Yes, so it means that
exactly.
and only later this brings some specification, as you told. Okay, this is an artist, this is a master of something, this is a doctor, and during the community start developing, and maybe it also because of the size of the community. Because if it's, for example, like a tribe for 30 people, one shaman is enough because he can carry about all of the family, maybe, like But then it's like 2,000 people, it's already impossible to handle. Maybe this is why all this specification came later. And yes, so it's interesting. So we somehow go back to the roots.
Yeah, I started to look back into the history, and I started to discover that actually this creativity as this ball of energy, but it's going through you. It's always coming out in a form that has to be shared with other people. It's not just coming to you and being part of your own trip, your own discovery or something. It's coming in the form that cannot be realized if you don't share it. It's like, for example, the melody. If you don't sing to anybody,
it not exists.
it's not exist, yes. Or if you don't write this word, then it is not becoming any meaning. Or if you don't show the drawings or let's say some lines, if you don't show it, it's not becoming a meaning. Just only for yourself doing isn't completed form of act.
I see.
It's like this, it's going through you and you are sharing it with somebody, with people, with audience, and you, through this act, you, by sharing with people, you get more near to that part of nature that we call multidimensional space of God.
You're playing, what I feel for your creativity and your performances and music, like you are like kind of playing with reality, kind of. During this play, I see how many changes have you created, around 60 albums,
yes, more,
around, so even more. So like
participation and main albums. Yes, let's say main albums I worked is like 50 something, but plus there is some participation, collaborations, featuring, blah 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 things. Is another 20, so is 75, 76
so much creativity.
albums.
And what's your maybe some of your most impressive maybe steps or like things which really inspired you to create or to change something in your understanding of music or of your life and how of your presentation?
Probably there is three things. So first is I want to develop female art of singing, because overtone singing, for example, as an example, overtone singing until let's say 80s or 90s of last century was exclusively only male type of art of singing, no? But then later on there was women appearing, female singers appearing for the folk singers that they have been using overtone singing, and they were able to demonstrate it, and even have a competition. So to develop and to, let's say, show to the world that women can also, sometimes as an ornamental, let's say, decorative part of, let's say, their music compositions, they can demonstrate overtone singing, not just to say, okay, we can do it like a man too, but really to use it as the part of music performance.
From the women perspective.
Yeah,
like
from women perspective, to give them this inspiration and to develop this. Second is to tell a story about little Asian woman like me, coming from a small village in Tuva into the big cities, into the big modern world, to tell this story, how this little bird survived in this big digital world of modern technologies. It's a very interesting story, I guess. People who have interest, they will listen all these albums, and they, through this music and singing, they will understand how simple girl from small village just can come to big city and can really survive.
And actually grow and became famous also. Like, because
To stabilize the material part, it should be first wished little thing to hear the story. Narration of small bird living in a modern big city, you know.
What I can say, your story in general is very inspiring, because now you're still, like, after COVID, of course, it was a very shocking time for all artists, but after COVID you just immediately start touring again, and like in only 1 month you already visited like 5 countries and just all the time traveling. I feel that you really get your energy from your performances. It's true? Do you feel that?
Yeah, of course, because I was 2.5 years really, we all were stuck on all these lockdowns, so there was enough time to meditate, to think, to create something for the next project. So that's why everything what is coming up now is a result that was waited for 2.5 years.
I see.
Yeah.
So during COVID, you also not like just sitting and looking at the wall. Like, you also create some.
Oh yes.
I see.
I recorded 2 albums. 3 albums I recorded. 2 for this start sing music, and the other one is now came out in November with Belgian musician. So with recordings, everything was really fine. You know, only of course among just. If we talk only, let's say, creativity, then there is 32 pictures I did, you know. It's a concept saying calligraphy, sound. I have a collection called Sound Calligraphy, or Calligraphy of Sound, which is like yesterday's kind of spontaneous lines, but it is at the same time is a music score for modern music. In modern music there is a category that's called graphic notation for modern music or for improvisation.
So during the hear some music, you just
yes, I was training to
make an art.
Working on this concept of making a collection of work called Calligraphy of Sound for modern music.
So for interruptions, it means that each work of art, piece of art, you create inspired by some composition, or
no,
not this way.
Each composition is inspiring to create a visual work, to be connected of this music composition with visual work. It's a bit another sense.
So on the exhibition, you listen to
yes. This collection of works, for example, is 24 pictures, and each picture is kind of like music score. But instead of usual these 5 lines and notations Mozart music, it has just graphic notation, some images on this, and this could be understood as the music score.
I see.
And each picture has to have audio loop or audio track recorded into a small loudspeaker, and on exposition, when you open, and then on exposition, each picture can be listened. People can listen through the headphones, or it all can be played in the gallery.
I see. Wow, wonderful idea.
And everybody will understand, okay, audio track number 1 belong to picture number 1, for example.
It's like an album. It's
like an album, yes. It's like a catalog. Each picture has its own soundtrack. What kind of tea it is?
Yeah, actually I drink, I sometimes do some crazy mixes. This is a Taiwanese oolong plus Taiwanese black tea together.
Wow.
Yeah, this is why it's a little
black
bit...
and green. Wow.
Black and...
I hope I fall asleep after.
I hope I hope we have some... I have some... you create like kind of combinations of art, I create combinations of tea, because because I was a DJ for 10 years before the tea, and actually one friend, he was in Thailand, there was one French lady live in Thailand, she said, you are TJ. TJ. So it's a kind of also playing the tea, so it's also... for me, I really, which really reflects me in positive way, but I see also like a creativity. For some people, it can be specific, but in real like raw creativity from the nature, it's just creativity, and you can express it super different ways. And I do believe that really contemporary art, in some point, it's also not some point. It's the main thing about contemporary art is a concept behind. So how do you explain what's the description you create for your piece of art, and in this case when you can, instead of having the description, you just have music, it's also a way of explain your art. So it's also interesting, like from the second stage, and after that you can have a first stage when you explain like the music as a piece of description. It also
it's very special project, and I'm now trying to develop it. And by the way, yesterday on the performance, I really had this feeling that connection between tea culture, the whole forms of tea ceremony should be a part of my sound performances.
Oh, with pleasure.
Yeah, where I can really make some kind of lines of my own voice improvisation, but at the same time, audience can be watching the performance, listening the strange voice lines, but also having a tea. Yeah.
This is what we just discussed in Vienna about the tea meditation.
Tea meditation, and sound calligraphy. I think that's really gets very near to the understanding of highest fine world of energy, where these finest spirits are living, actually.
Because we have also tea. We have also this feeling, because tea is also pretty delicate taste and aroma. It also a little bit change your, of course, state of mind.
Yes,
but not so strong and not so rough as alcohol or something else. But tea is more delicate, but still works. And I think the elevation and the frequency of this, as you told, this energy is pretty on the same way as a calligraphy or music, the same as we just talked about the Chinese tradition. Like the tea all the time was a part of of the interest of the people who was into calligraphy, who was into poetry, who was into music, like would sing, and it was all in one. And this separate world of like tea culture and also Chinese culture, traditional culture, it was a completely different approach between any other things like in life, even some other crafts or whatever. But tea was in this
sophisticated part of life.
No, but it also was occupied by calligraphy and art, and also but also you can just say that you already had that experience with making drawings with poetry. Can you just tell the story? It's interesting.
I had 3 personal exhibitions in China, and one of them was at OCT Center in Shenzhen. There I had not sound calligraphy. The concept was to make from taste of food and food as the inspiration for the visual works. And I was using Café Nestle, I was using fermented pu'er tea, but dried in 1 week. So I know now how to cook strong pu'er tea, then to pour it into the plate and wait for 1 week.
Wow.
That is getting dry and it's becoming hard. And then you can use it. You can
As an ink or
like not really ink. It's more like aquarelle.
I see.
Yeah, it's the same color. It's red, brown. But I was making images with this,
Wow.
and the same concept, food art. It's called food art. So the same concept I had of collection that I showed in Songliang Art Village next to the Beijing Museum of Contemporary Art. It's called MOCA, Museum of Contemporary Art. So there I've been also representing my collection. Of course, by that time it was this food art collection was very naive try. It was still kind of, I was trying to figure it out through the color of pu'er, from pu'er tea, the dried, fermented pu'er tea into this aquarelle painting. I was trying to make images of a man, farmers that had been having, for example, lunch break and just having this pu'er tea, sitting somewhere in the fields, in the nature, having his lunch. You know?
I see.
So kind
Wonderful.
of pu'er tea as a lunch. Or I've been creating some images of very naive, a simple a girl trying a first time a cup of tea, cup of tea, and there was these images of made with coffee, Café Nestle, hustle day or something, like the man is running somewhere, or so I was trying to make let's say more naturalistic the images of men, women, girls, and etc. in a very naive way. But if I want to express about spirits, about improvisation, about meditation, sound meditation especially, I should not try to draw faces or bodies or something, it should be abstract, absolutely. Just maybe a little bit something reminding something, but never concrete, So the collection of 8 pictures I left in Taipei is having this.
Oh, wonderful.
So it's more abstract, but at the same time is mystic. It has this mystic touch, and it has some images of nature, like for example mountains. There is like mountains and then mountain lake. It's a very high somewhere on the mountain. There is a lake, and you can kind of through all these lines you can see it, and you can even hear the melody of for example Tuvan people who live on these mountains singing this melody. And I want to record it on audio and make this audio next to these pictures. So 8 different audio tracks for 8 pictures, and this I left in Taipei.
Taipei. Actually, about in Asia, because you, after all your long musical experience in Western countries, you start traveling to China, and what was your first impression about Chinese audience of that times? Because as I know, it was around 20 years ago already for the first time. And how has it changed during this period of time?
It's changed dramatically, because 2003, when I was coming, Beijing or Shanghai was looking very different, especially Beijing. So you come out of hotel, you sit down, you take a taxi, and you go somewhere. And around it was thousands, 100,000s of bikers, people on bicycles, and there was a street was absolutely chaos, You the driver had to drive through absolute chaos, and you sit next and you think, it's not possible.
How is it possible?
How we are going to get to, this time is running, how we gonna get to a rehearsal room, or how we gonna get to studio. It was very, very difficult. Now maybe it's like this in India somewhere. In Delhi, you arrive to Mumbai or to Delhi, and you step out of hotel, you take a taxi, and you have this 2-3 hours
driving
trying to drive through these millions of all these bicycles, So that was the picture from China, 2003, Of course, by that time, I had much smaller audience. I had maybe 30, 40, 50 people, special people who collect and who specialized on knowing about some artists or collecting very special albums. But most of albums was pirates. It was not official ones, but the copies. Then later on, dramatically, it changed in the last 10 years. Just everybody can find everything on internet, and you can get it within few hours. Or you can download anything. It's a very big change. And of course, now I can have much larger audience. But I like to have a small concert sometime because it has this intimacy of meeting with audience. It's it gives possibility to have a closer contact and to have an acoustic sound, to have real touch, not that you are on stage and there is somewhere in 20 meters there, somewhere the audience is sitting and you hardly can see their faces because
there's less touch. Maybe
yes, there is no real contact. It's formal. I mean, what a difference, And a lot of concerts like these, big concerts, made with everything with playback.
It may be also needed for commercial reasons, but it's maybe important to have a balance. Like if you only play on a big stage, maybe you slowly get kind of losing all this touch of the audience if you just only focus on the big events. But I think for any musician, of course, it's maybe good feeling. I played for a huge performance. It's also good in some way, but maybe it's important to have a balance. What do you think about it?
Modern technology gives the possibility to give a brilliant sound and brilliant performance on stage for large, very big audience. But during pandemic and lockdowns, I start to understand that real touch, when you can sit and you see your audience, and when audience can see each other, to have this almost personal contact is, I think, very important. It's affecting much more stronger than having a long distance and it's good maybe for entertaining, real entertainment, real big shows and all this, just to but for the inner spiritual development and also in development of and working out new styles of music or new form of art, new form of performances on stage. It's really important that people have real acoustic, real resonance, or real performance, not just screen, projection, recorded
like real
movie or
touch.
something, real touch. People need it now. It's really sign of time. After pandemic, people want to
Get warm
touch,
feeling.
more feeling,
Yeah.
to understand. This is real, and
Yeah.
acoustic is real, not artificial.
Yeah, what I just want to say that a lot of corporations think that during pandemic people will, how to say, have a behavior to spend time online more, to just use all this delivery, like logistics and all the things, and just stay at home, be stuck on this metaverse and so on. But after, which I really like, that people want to get rid of it, because as soon as the pandemic finished, as soon as lockdowns finished, people just became socialized as hell, just traveling around, just seeing friends, seeing family. And what you really right, that people need this warm feeling
Yes.
of a real reality, and
Yes.
which I also felt, because also I started
And
traveling
showing their bodies, to say that I'm not just
Projection,
somebody somewhere behind the walls, and you
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know am I alive or not. They really want to show their bodies, their face, their and have a real contact, real touch, real acoustics, real sounds, not just from the screen all the time. So
yeah,
people
because on the
need-
screen we can look at YouTube, but maybe for how to say, as you rightly said about the promotion, just for spreading the word, maybe it's okay.
Yeah.
But to go deep in understanding, or maybe some artist or some performance, you need to get to this smaller audience and smaller
Yeah.
concerts to really understand and feel. And this is, yeah, I do believe it's important. Maybe the last questions also is about maybe you can share your inspiration. What do you think is important for an artist to develop himself? The philosophical aspect, maybe.
Okay, we did it now in Russian, so
Yeah.
I'll try to formulate it, the same idea in English.
Yeah.
I know it's very difficult, but I try now.
I think it's very
First
important.
of all, I don't want to even pretend to give any instructions.
Of course, it's personal.
Yes, and then second, I understand that my example cannot be instruction for somebody how to do it, because each experience is very unique. So therefore, I don't have any aim to give instructions. I can teach voice. I can explain how to produce overtone singing, how to learn to breathe, but I cannot give really clear, strong instructions how to do and what to do or not to do to be realized person or recognized personality, to be creative person. This is, let's say, very individual work, and there is inside what is given to you, there is always, everybody has this. Everybody has this energy. And this energy has two contents. Is a spiritual recognition and spiritual discovery, let's say, and material part that has to be stabilized. This is my own wish to, from this energy, make possibly maximal recognition of a spiritual part and at the same time to find material, let's say, stabilization of my own material position or material world. Every person has rights to decide, is he activating it, this energy, to recognize this spiritual energy, recognition, and offered material stability, or just float as it comes.
Yes, the stream.
Be just a stream, just float it. So, or to be creative, to really realize this spiritual and find material stability. So I don't talk about making like all this. They say, okay, earning 300 a day, or there were things. No, I'm not talking about having as much as possible, or a material thing, or to get as much as possible rich and all this. No, I'm talking about spiritual recognition and material stability. Stability means to understand how I have to be related to the material world to have stability, to have balance, not to run after or to struggle after, but be free and at the same time everything what I need and how much it should be. So this is already started to activate this energy. Or when you're going by float, you know, you are not activating it, but you come as it comes, you know, like, okay, today is like this, tomorrow is like that, you know. So when you just follow up, it's also your choice, you know.
It also can be okay for many people,
yes,
because
but I don't have any rights to point to anybody to say, oh, you should do like this, or this is no good, or this is no. Everybody is having his own experience, and it's his right to decide, I want to activate it or I just follow.
Actually, when you have this decision to activate it, also kind of taking a risk, because as soon as you want to become a little bit more independent, not just going, they already like builded paths, but you create your own path, maybe even to the same goal, but differently, and still you have risk, because some people, it's more easy to fail during this kind of taking this risk in some point. Also we can differently understand what is fail, but also still maybe not for everyone this kind of approach also, because some people like we are ready to be creative, more risky, they want to just express themselves somehow, and somehow they became popular or needed or recognized, but also they can do absolutely same thing as they think as, and this became absolutely unneeded somehow, because there's also behind all these activities a kind of luck and kind of like then some combination of your personality meet the reality, because it's also, I do believe it's not easy, but it's a very interesting, very important words, I think. What I want to say is, thank you very much. It was very great interview, and thank you for coming to Amsterdam. I hope we will meet again here, and thank you everyone for watching. I will leave in the description some links for Sainkho, for her music, her website and social networks. Please look, because she constantly traveling. What is your actually current travel schedule? Like few countries?
I was December, January in Asia. Now I have, by coming back, I have to open an exhibition in Vienna at Cafe Weidingen, and this is the first thing what I have to do. Then more to the middle of February, I'm starting the tour. I'm having a tour to promote my solo album in Italy. Now it's coming out. Solo album at Milano Publishers, and I have a booking agency there too. So I'm having a small tour in Italy with workshop. And then I'm having Hungary one concert, also promoting the new album, and I am having concerts in Scandinavia, in Oslo, and it's ending up in Kirkenes.
Wow.
Kirkenes is already not so far from Murmansk, no?
I see.
And this is the last concert, and then I'm coming back in 1st of March or something like that. And then I'm closing my exhibition because it's exactly 1 month past. I'm closing my exhibition in a cafe, collecting everything back, and then I'm flying to Switzerland to have a next concert in Switzerland in March.
All the time traveling. It's also for me so inspiring because I also all the time traveling. So yeah, please follow up Sainkho activity. I think it's because already say each concert is different. This is why some fans say they seem to be following you,
Yes,
like they're traveling with you because they see each time differently.
Yes, they're traveling.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Nice to meet you, and hope to meet you again here or somewhere else.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Have
Bye.
a nice day. Drink nice tea. Listen to clear music.
Yeah.
Bye.